Okay, I want to welcome everybody. It is April the 27th of 2023, and this is our extra meeting for the month. um, those that weren't here on our exhibition night, we had so many images, we had so many comments, and we had so much going on that we didn't finish all the images for the comments side of things. So we're going to do all the general images tonight, and then we've got a few tips and tricks for Lightroom and Photoshop that we're gonna Jim and I are gonna share with you guys. Not a whole lot of stuff. It probably won't take us too long, I hope. Robert is not going to be here tonight because he is working, but he did do a video for me on the comments. Only thing is, Jim, I don't know how I can use Lightroom and his comments at the same time for a share. Do you have any idea how to do that? You're muted.
You should be able to play the video. What I would do is present the photograph and then switch to your video player and run the video and get his comments. And then after that, we can have Jim's comments.
Yeah. Problem is, it's nice to be able to see the image while he's talking.
Yeah, well, that might be a little challenging.
Although he may, I don't know. I haven't looked at it. He may have the image on his video. So.
Oh, I was wondering, did he include the, pictures on his video or not?
He just sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
I started the meeting.
I would assume that
yeah,
whatever photo he's talking about is on the video.
Okay. I'll give him hell next time. That's what.
Yeah. So what I might do is start and stop the video or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We got a few more people coming in. Hey, Joe. Hey, Victoria. Okay. Looks like we have one guest here, Pat. Hi, Pat. We can't see you, but welcome, and I'm glad you could show up tonight and join us on this extra meeting night. Wanted to let you know that the recording for Rick Salmon's presentation that we did on Sunday, if you haven't already seen it, I sent a link to all the members. It is not to be shared with anybody. This one will not be on the website because it's, that's the deal we make with these speakers, that we don't put it out to the public. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check your email, so it should be in there. Also, the slideshow that I showed before the meeting last Thursday, the one-day Tampa Bay Camera Club slideshow, that is now on the website. It took me a couple days because I wanted to get Victoria's images. I added them to it and redid it so that now her images are on there, because somehow I missed them when I was putting them all in when I was creating the slideshow before. So that is now on the website as well. And that is, I put it in there on the blog post. So it's actually, you don't have to go digging into the other videos. It's actually it's probably right now on the top blog post. Don't forget, we have the outing on Saturday morning at the Flower Field on McIntosh Road. All the details are on the website at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're coming in an hour early for us. So they have gates on the driveway now because they were having people driving in there all hours of the night and day and everything. So they now have gates on there. I don't know if Sylvia is the lady that was there last year that works in the produce thing. She's going to be there at 8 o'clock. I don't know if she'll be there before 8 o'clock. So if you get there, the gates are closed, just kind of pull off somewhere off to the side and wait for her to come and open the gates. Hopefully we'll be there before everybody else. It's like, right down the road. But anyway, rain or shine, but it has not rained in the morning here at all. It's rained only in the afternoon, so we should be fine Saturday morning. But it has been raining. So if you come out, please don't wear shoes that you care about, because it's going to be dirty and muddy. So wear, whatever you don't mind getting, dirty. So and also Gerald, the owner of the farm, mentioned that he's got 2 other photographers going to be there. They're probably going to be doing senior shoots or something in there. So we just need to make sure that we, give them plenty of room and space. Place is huge though. There's big. So it shouldn't be a problem. Just to review the assignments that are coming up in May, we've got bird portrait. So that's basically a bird on a stick, looking really cute, very portraity. June is environmental portrait. So don't forget, go back. If you've forgotten what that's all about, go back and watch the recording for that session from last month that Robert and Jim did. So you can get a review of what environmental portrait is for June. Education night for next month is Joshua Cripps, who's one of the young up and coming young photographers. He's going to be talking about telephoto landscapes, which is our assignment later in the year. So this is going to be a good one to watch. Right now, we do not have anything set up for June, hoping we're going to do a field trip, but I haven't been able to get the people to call me back that we were trying to talk to. So trying to do that again tomorrow. I don't know what the problem is, why they haven't called me back. But anyway, that's for June. That's all I've got. Robert, Jim, do you have anything you want to add?
I'm good right now. Thank you.
Okay, no, you have no workshops or anything coming up?
I don't have dates yet.
Okay.
So
okay.
yeah, I'm doing another workshop and going to do a cell phone photography workshop. They're both coming up, but I have to figure out,
When?
dates, dates, etc.
Okay, awesome. Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
Do you know what time the taco store opens?
I don't, you know what, I'm thinking, that was Lee's baby, and Lee's not gonna be there because he's got to go over to Orlando to do something with Lourdes on Saturday morning. So, we went there last year, they weren't even open yet. So we may figure out something else where we can go for breakfast.
Okay, sounds,
It's actually open, so I'll look around and see what we can, if there's someplace in that area that we can go to.
I like the brunch idea, breakfast brunch. That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
we could go to brunch. Like, even if we went to like Cracker Barrel over on I-4,
yeah,
that would work. Other than it might be busy by then, but because you're probably be done around 10ish or so. So we'll just see. We'll play it by ear, see what's going on, and who wants to go. Depends on how many people want to go too. So
You can also have plenty of parking.
yeah, there's plenty of parking at the Cracker Barrel, but I don't have to stand around and wait after we got up early to go shoot the flowers. Anyway, okay. If there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started on this and figure out how we're going to show Robert. Actually, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share him first and see what we've got going on. What he actually, this is a video, so I can use the video. Share.
I have to ask something, Mike and Nancy. How is it that Nancy is behind and moving and Mike was in the picture? It looks so weird. I mean, it looks like altered reality.
He's sitting behind her.
Oh.
Okay.
Did you hear them? That is the intent, alter reality.
All right, this is not working the way I wanted it to, so let's do this. Okay.
Robert from Beyond.
Can you see Robert?
Briefly.
Let's
We
see
saw
if
him a
this is
minute
gonna
ago.
work.
Now
tell me
we see a bunch of boat rigging.
Oh, you got the, okay, wait a minute. Now do you see Robert?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm looking at two different screens here. I'm not used to using two screens for the share. Okay. I'm gonna start playing it. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what we have going here. Let's see if we share our screen.
Yeah, he's gonna show the images.
you gotta
Volume up, please.
turn the volume up.
Share
Lynn, we cannot hear him.
Hold on.
here. And see if we can
How's that?
bring up.
More. Go more.
More, please.
Louder.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me stop this. This is because I'm trying to do it on the other monitor. Let's switch back. I'm going to stop sharing it and put it back on here. I was trying to use it on the other monitor and it's not working right because I have to do that video thing over here. And I'm using a
I think
video.
she's just continuing this till the next meeting.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we can.
Yeah. Go to screen share and go to advanced and then tell it you want a video and then browse.
Well,
to the
that's
video
where I'm
and launch
at,
it.
but the problem is I had that video already. It's wanting a file,
Yeah.
but
You
I
didn't
don't
send
have
you
it
a
as a
file?
file. Yeah, hold on a second. Shoot. I just opened it up in Google Drive is what I did, I guess.
Oh, you didn't download the file locally to
No.
your machine to play it. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that, yeah, you want it to come right off of your machine. You don't want it to go from Google to your machine and then back out on Zoom again. That would
Okay,
be
hold on a
mess.
second then. Let me, just give me 1 second here. This is all newfangled stuff for me. I haven't done this before. So let me download this. Does it say I can download it?
Go to the 3 dots and
Oh. It's just opening. Oh, wait a minute here. Share, name, detail. Oh, here we go. Download. Okay, hold on a second. Eight seconds, 9 seconds, 7 seconds. Sorry, guys. I literally got this like 2 seconds before I started the meeting. So,
You get A for effort for even trying it, so.
okay. All right, let's go back to the beginning here. And where is Zoom? Okay, share screen, advanced video, share. Oops. Now it wants me to get the, so that would be under downloads. Okay, there it is. Okay, now we got it. Now do you see it?
Not yet.
Computer.
Now?
Okay,
No.
great. Here we are. Let's see what we have going here.
Sounds good.
Let's see. Let me share my screen.
Can you hear it?
Yes.
Multiple
Okay.
people can. All right, and then share screen and share. And let's see what we have up here. Let's see if we can bring up. I believe it is going to be here. and let me hide this. Hide video panel.
Let me just go forward here a little bit. Oh, what he's doing here. Okay, here we go. Now I got it.
Background.
Okay.
So let's see.
Is this the first picture you're going to show, Lynn?
Yes. Yeah,
This
he's-
drops off to an abrupt edge over here. As far as the composition, you have a long leading line right here, but then you have a in your background with that sunset, it just drops off. And I think it's a little tight. All right, back to you. No, before I go back, colors are absolutely stunning. The blue hour and the rich colors in the foreground. But the composition is a little off for me. All right, back to you guys.
Okay, Jim. This is actually
Yeah,
this is Alan's image.
yeah, and I know it could be tricky for you then to be swapping screens and bring this up, but yeah, the colors are great. The complementary colors, the blue and the orange, and they're equally saturated, which is great. And I agree with Robert about it being tight on the right-hand side. Yeah, you could probably fix that by cropping it in from the left side and stopping just before those 3 lights on the horizon there on the left side if you cropped it in from there.
Right here.
Whose photograph is this?
This was Alan's.
Do you happen to have the scores anymore, Lynn? Because I don't know. I don't remember.
Matter.
Yeah, but let's not, we don't want to get into that.
That's
Let's-
okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, ready for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, on this particular image, it's shot in the middle of the day. It's kind of hard to shoot an image in the middle of the day, especially when you have a line like such. The ship is so close to the land. You have a line running straight through our ship here, and a lot of bright spots in here as well. So they're kind of blown out. I think if you lower the contrast on this image, bring down the whites in this particular area, bring down the background so that the ship stands out, then you might have a chance on this one. Lots of fun. I like what's going, just the background is too close. And I think that's about it.
Jim?
Yeah, in agreement, especially with the respect to the highlights in the
it's
boat. The
very dark right here.
the highlights are you know, off the end of the scale there.
That was Alan's as well. Next
I
one
have
is,
Okay, back to you
Wait, just a
guys.
second. Hold on,
What?
Lynn. So that line that is behind it, that looks like either a railroad track or something like that, is that
Yeah.
a problem or not? Because Robert referred to it, but I don't think I understood what he
yeah,
meant.
it's a problem because it's
Yes.
it's going right into the boat. And
Okay.
it's just too close to the.
It's a line that intersects the you know, the visual intersection of that line
Right here, yeah,
with
right
the
here.
Right.
with the boat. And you know, from the angle it was shot at and where it was and what was going on, there was not much to do about it in, you know, as far as taking the photo. However, in post processing, like Robert said, if you tone the background down and you know, darken it, you know,
Got
burn
it.
it down, it wouldn't necessarily be as noticeable. The ship would pop out more, and you wouldn't, you know, you'd be less looking at that line back there that's cutting through it.
Thank you.
And next one,
Not only the railroad track, but the shoreline also
Mhm.
makes it cut through the boat.
yeah,
That would
Mhm.
have to be toned down, I would imagine too. Is that right?
You're absolutely right, Jack.
Okay.
All right, we have this rather minimalist, ethereal, lots of turbulence going on. And I point out that in all of this expansive space, hold on, let me get something to drink.
he's having lots of problems. He's gonna run out of water before we get done here.
Our bird demands all the attention, all the turbulence that's going on with the clouds and the sky, and then the peacefulness of the bird flying. Just opposed in this particular scene makes it very stunning and striking. Black and white tones, really nice. In this one.
This one's Dom's. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, that's great. The like, you know, exactly what Robert was saying, the contrast of all the, as Robert called it, turbulence in the sky. Back when I was a pilot, we called it unstable atmosphere, but it's contrasted. Not only that, but there's one element that's not clouds and sky, and it's the bird. And the bird just seems to be gliding and soaring peacefully through all this, you know, violent upheaval of, you know, of what's going on in the clouds and the atmosphere. And it's great. It works really well. And the black and white treatment is great because it works. It just minimalizes everything. You don't have colors in there and everything. You just see what's going on compositionally with this. It works really well.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yep.
Yeah.
First of all, that little saucer shape, I saw this when I came home. I was out looking to take photographs. There was nothing to photograph. And this literally I saw in my driveway. That lower portion is about 25 miles away, which was right over Charlotte because they were just beginning to get violent weather. And that saucer shaped cloud, there were actually two of them. And by the time I went in and got my camera, the top one dissipated, but I looked them up and it's an alto nimbus cloud. And there were also about a dozen hawks flying around. The hawks were obviously very close, maybe within a quarter of a mile away or less, several hundred yards. But when I got in and got my camera, most of them disappeared. But they fly. I live in Sun City in Charlotte, outside of Charlotte. And we had wooded areas there and people had little dogs. And these guys, when I would walk outside, I never saw less than 10 or 12 hawks flying around. And we had at least 2 or 3 little Yorkies disappear, taken away by hawks. One of them the dog was a little too heavy for the hawk, so he got it about 50 feet up in the air and he had to drop it. And of course, killed the dog. But yeah, that one guy was left when I got out there. And to be truthful, he wasn't exactly where he is. He was a little bit lower in the image, so I moved him up a little bit to get him up more into the corner.
What you got to do to get the picture that you need, you know?
But I was definitely curious about it.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, Dom, you can go to your other meeting now.
Okay, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
You go ahead.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, next one is reflection in a well, and it's
Okay.
it's Lourdes's.
This image works.
He's finishing
All
his.
right, back to you guys. On here, this discusses the reflections. And I find that there's not enough of a reflection in this particular photograph in order to make it happen. So this image is falling short based on its title.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with Robert. The image stands on its own. I really enjoy looking at the image. The title gives me direction, that it's supposed to be about the reflection in the well, and like Robert, that's where I have the issue is, as he said, it doesn't hold up to the title. Had it been titled something different, not be, and not specifically say, that the reflection is what's important, I would be, better about this. The other thing, overall, I really like the composition. I like the black and white. I like what I'm seeing there. What I would actually do with respect to the reflection, I find the reflection of the pole in the water distracting because the way it breaks up everything else that's very abstract in that reflection, that's pretty much the only real thing that you actually key in on. When you look at the reflection, the thing that grabs you, the only thing in focus, is the reflection of the pole. I actually would have smeared it, distorted it, made it look more, where it melds in with the other reflections of the trees and things that are very abstract in there. And I wouldn't be just constantly looking at the pole in the water, because the rest of the image is a great composition. But that's where my eye keeps going, is to that reflection of just the pole in the water.
I think I put a little bit of vignette on this as well. It just seems very bright in the corners, and my eye just kind of goes flipping right out because it's
I agree with that
here. So I think some vignetting, and I'm sorry guys that we're not being able to do anything on it. This is how you'll appreciate it when we actually are on Lightroom to do this stuff. I'm really sorry we can't show you this time, but it is what it is in this makeup deal here. So awesome. All right, let's move on to the next one. The next one is
Lynn, can we stay on this for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
And this is please not meant in any sort of a criticism or anything like that. But if you were to shoot that, would you have tried to find an angle that doesn't include the pole?
That would be really hard to do.
Yeah, it's really hard.
And the pole itself is, to me, the actual pole is not so much of an issue. The reflection of the pole in the water is what I keep looking at, and and is incongruous visually with everything else.
I always have trouble composing landscapes because I never know how much, not a landscape, but something that's not an animal, that's there. But I never know how much to put in and how much to take out. So that was the nature of my question.
That's the trick with landscaping. I think Rick even mentioned that the other day, is we're subtractive. where
Right.
painters are additive. We're always trying to take things out. And so it's a matter of deciding what needs to be taken out and what needs to be left.
Right, right.
And it's just,
Thank
I
you.
think it's just a matter of shooting. And to be honest with you, this is not a good example because it's really not a landscape, but if you're going to shoot landscape, your best way to learn that is to use a telephoto lens and shoot at
Okay.
200 millimeters. Because
Okay.
then you are forced to take things out. You've got to find that one thing that like, it's like right in your face. And because you're zeroing in. And this is not something I figured out. My very first workshop with Tony Sweet, he came up behind me and I was using a wide angle lens. He's like, why are you using it? What are you taking a picture of? I'm like, all this stuff. He said, no, switch lenses. He made me put this, at the time I had an 80 to 200 on. He said, I want you to shoot at 200 millimeters. And that's all I
That's
want you to shoot.
That's a really good suggestion, Lynn, because that's where I get lost.
Yeah.
Put me in a grove of something like that and I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can only see a small amount, so it starts to make you see a lot less.
Thank you.
And then at some other point, I think it took me 2 years, then I could go back to the wide angle lens again, and I still go back and forth between the two. And that's
Thank you.
kind of that's why we're doing the telephoto landscape assignment and having to talk about that next
Yeah.
month.
That's going to be great.
Moving on. The next one is Blue Rim Cliffs, and this is Kathy's.
Hold. Okay, so I mentioned
No, he's still
That
talking about this
the
one. I thought he was done.
image reflection. I'm just not getting it. So I think in order not to beat this one in the ground, I'm going to move on to the next one. Back at you guys. The blue rim of this is absolutely exquisite, coming out of with the different colors and tones coming out of the earth. I find it very interesting that you are showing me a sense of what's happening on our Mother Earth. However, on your left-hand side over here, I wonder why you didn't complete it out. Why did you crop this at this edge? Instead of letting this image breathe, you gave it some room on the right-hand side, yet you cut it off on the left. So I'm curious as to why that happened. And that's where I found a little bit of tension in my visual acceptance of this photograph. That sudden stop, that hard line, when you have all these nice centric circles and these lines going through that are carrying me. So this mound at the top, this piece that's going out all the way out to the edge over here, I found that to be very pleasing, but then it stops abruptly on this side. So that's where I found a little bit of a compositional problem here. Okay, back at you guys.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, Robert took the words right out of my mouth. That abrupt cut on the left side, because visually looking at this, my brain is looking at it, and I don't know for sure because it's cut off, but it looks like it's a curve that curves around and sweeps around to the back, and it just my eye is visually comprehending and thinking the point is cut off, and that's visually distracting to the human brain with composition and shapes and geometry when you feel like there's a point of something cut off, the tip of a curve, the point of something, and that's what it looks like there. It looks like there's a sweeping curve that curves all the way around. That's the impression you get. Maybe that's not really what's there, but that's it. As Robert says, it just feels very abrupt the way that's chopped, especially with the beautiful blue line coming like right up to the edge of the frame on that side, but there's plenty of breathing room on the other side.
I had
Kathy,
more space too. There was more over there. I don't know. I didn't know where to crop.
yeah, it's always tough when you've got so much going on. Kathy, the other suggestion I've had, it looks to me like this was shot in pretty high light. It looks like
Yeah.
it was almost noon. What you
It
could,
was.
what you could do with this is take your brush. Are you using Lightroom or something else?
Capture One.
I don't know if they have the ability to do the brushing, or you could do this in wherever you have the ability. But take your brush and do some dodging and burning here, where you
Oh,
can
okay.
burn
Yeah, I
in
can do that.
any of these areas that are darker, because what the
Yeah.
problem is because of the lighting, it's very flat.
Yeah.
You
And it
have
was the whole thing was very subtle.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the,
but you still want to be able to bring out what is important, which are these. You can darken up these anything that's dark, make them a little darker.
okay.
And then and then anything that's light, like right here, and even along with the colors, you can actually put a little saturation on here, and just change it's just way too flat. You've seen some of the stuff I've done with this kind of environment, and I spent a lot of time going over all these little alleys and these little things like this, and all it takes is just a little bit of burning and then a little bit of dodging, and you can make this whole thing pop like you would not believe, and
Okay.
it darken up the front a little bit, because you don't want to look at this. You want to see all that. So yeah, you've got a lot of potential here beyond the cropping on the side. But if you have another one that has that left-hand side still there, you might want to
This one does,
that
I
one
can
does. Okay.
crop this one
Yeah,
differently.
Recrop it and try.
Okay.
And if you need any help with that, let me know, and we can do a Zoom, just you and I. Okay.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
I could use a little bit more on the top too. I think it's a little tight in that upper right corner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I have that room too.
Yeah. Just see, and if you don't need it. It looks to me like there's no sky here. It's all just out land further out.
Right.
But yeah, it is a little close right there.
But there is more room up there,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah, you
Okay,
play.
great.
There's a lot of potential here. You just need to take it a little further. I mean, like I said,
Okay.
it takes me an hour to work on something like this.
Oh, well, I did it longer than that. I did it for a whole year before I finally got to where I even liked what I did. I put it away.
Yeah, we talked about being subtractive, but
Yeah.
a little too much subtraction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to add a little bit back.
Okay. Everybody has a different opinion
There
about
you
that,
go.
you know?
Well, that's unfortunately that's part of the game, but yeah, this image has so much potential that you a little bit more work, and this thing would be worthy to put on the wall.
Okay.
Right.
Wonderful. Thank you. I really enjoyed that picture.
Yeah. All right. On to the
This
next
one is titled Golden Storm.
one. He's out of order now.
And
This was
on
at the
this particular
bottom.
image with this infrared and all this going on in the foreground here, I find that this image is lacking the timing. This pontoon boat in the foreground is not in the foreground enough, meaning that if it's approaching, shoot the same shot with it in the foreground here so that I have something in the foreground to lead me to the background. All of this line of composition, I might as well cut off most of the foreground, most of the water in the foreground. However, that triangle that's leading in the back there could have well been maintained had you waited until the pontoon boat got a lot more forward in your composition, which would create a lot more depth. And in creating that depth, the pontoon boat would lead me to the cityscape, which would lead me to the sky, the beautiful sky, and how it's the puffy pillow, soft cotton-like, not pillow, but cotton-like clouds are showing through. All right, back to you guys.
Jim?
Yeah, I exactly agree with Robert. If that pontoon boat were halfway between where it is and the bottom edge of the frame with that triangular wake extending behind it, that that would have nailed it. Like Robert said, you could cut the foreground back to it right now, but it's not the same impact. That visually, the separation between the boat and the bridge behind it is not a lot, and there's a lot of separation between the bottom edge of the frame and that boat. It, like Robert says, had that boat come forward, that would have nailed it.
I think the boat is going away from the camera though.
That
Why
can't
would the
be-
wake be in front of the boat, Brian? A wake doesn't move in front of a boat.
What?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it doesn't,
Are you sure about that?
it's one of those weird boats. It's got like seats in the front of it, so. And this
Yeah,
one
the,
is, this was Barry's image.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I
Okay.
guess while we're having cloud lessons today, those are called mammatus clouds.
Oh, yeah, we know. Mammatus. All
We've
right.
got alto nimbus clouds and mammatus clouds today.
Well, I'm sure we'll have more clouds too. Okay.
Gorgeous sunset. I'd imagine this is shot out west somewhere, or I believe I've seen something like this with my recent memory out in Africa maybe, but the tree setting the tone for this particular image. The shape of the trees in this foreground, that could have easily been another shot, but this is the composition you gave me, and if that's the composition you gave me, I would like to open up on this right-hand side here, open up the values there so that it somewhat mimics the separation of the other trees. So the separation starts to get a little bit lost in this area right here. So if we can just open up this a tad bit throughout here, just open that value up so that there's some sort of separation, more separation there. I find that would add a little bit of success to this image. Give it a shot, see what you think. Back at you.
This one is Diana's image.
Yeah, and that's again in agreement with Robert. Just brighten up the horizon over there. At the bottom side on the right frame, just brighten up the dark part of the sky there a little bit, and there's going to be a lot more visual punch to this. It just kind of gets muddy, muddy over there from the sky into the horizon.
It was pretty sloppy looking there. And so that's kind of why, I debated cutting it, even closer to the bush, to the first bush. I'm drawing on my.
But we're not.
Yeah,
We're not talking
here-
about cropping. We're just talking about
No,
making
I know,
making it
I know.
brighter. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, you can take the linear gradient and
Mhm.
just place it here and just crank up the exposure just by a tiny bit, and that'd make a
Okay.
difference right here.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And is that the biggest flaw in it? Because my grade wasn't
Yeah.
wonderful.
yeah. I mean,
Yep.
that's
Jim,
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
is that the
Yeah.
biggest flaw?
That's it. And a slight step could have. I don't know if what your position was, if you were locked in position or not, but
No.
but changing position to separate the sun a little bit more from the tree. It is very, very close to the
yeah.
tree.
okay.
It feels like it's almost touching the branches of that tree over there. A little separation
Yeah.
of that,
I
compositionally
shot
could have improved.
numerous of these, so I might have one that's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you were like 2 steps or 3 steps to the left, you would have been away from the tree.
Mhm.
Although obviously things are moving while you're taking the picture. So
Yeah, thank you.
he's got these out of order, so I can't tell you who it is next until I see it. Oh, this is Brian's. This is called
I hope I'm doing the
Snow Canopy.
right general here. This is April general. Okay, our leading lines with a lot of color in this photograph. I just find this to be a wonderful image to enjoy. The nice warm reds with the yellows leading up to the greens with the mimicking of the reds on top. And I believe this is snow. Yes, snow. So finding this scene, this composition, and it's in general, it means it's not a composite. I find that this is a very, very pleasing image, and one should be proud of.
Yay, Brian.
Yeah, whose image was that, Lynn?
This is Brian's image. I think this is
Oh,
Brian's
that's one
very
of the,
best image ever.
I was gonna say that's one of the best things. Then, if that's Brian, that's one of the best things I've ever seen him submit. That's a fantastic image.
Yeah.
I really enjoy looking at this one. It's it's very well done. Like I say, the colors, a winter scene, but with that much color in it is very unusual and very eye catching, and the palette of the colors really works together, and the leading line sweeping away, curving away through the trees to the right in the distance. It's the placement top to bottom of where that road disappears into the trees. It's like this is one of those classic examples of where where a rule of thirds works just like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I was in northern Wisconsin for fall colors, and I woke up one morning in my car sleeping, and it was snowing, and so it's like the first snow of the season, and so I was there for fall colors, but I got something a little bit more of a treat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one you should.
Good job,
I think
Brian.
I took photos of the same snow leage event, if that was October 2022. But I was outside of I was north of Milwaukee.
I'm intrigued that it's a 5.6 image, like a aperture of 5.6. Just, and it's so clear up at,
Yeah.
No, it gets soft into the distance, but I'd say that's just exactly the right amount of of softness.
it's beautiful.
That depth of field is
Yes, exactly.
is just right for this.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Brian, you need to get this printed on metal, put it on your wall.
I'll have to think about that one.
It's worth it.
Really nice, Brian. Really beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful shot.
Florida, on my living room wall in Florida, it'll be an interesting juxtaposition.
Well, you could sit there in the winter, in the summertime when you're hot, and think about how cool that was.
Yeah,
It'll be cooler.
That's a beautiful shot.
I just find this to be a
still
wonderful image to
You know what?
enjoy.
I went back because he
The
had
nice warm red
he had blanked it out. He had made it look.
before I got to this. All right, I'm just finding that I just need to bring the value down just a little bit here and in this area right here, so that this beak and these eyes stand out a little bit more. When I say bring the value down a little bit, I want to bring it down on the back side here to make it stand out just a tiny bit more. I find that this image is very striking, nice impact. Love the eyes that are looking at me. I noticed that the sun is coming from overhead because of the shadow underneath. So I want to take this value down just a little bit more in order to make that value stand out. That's what I'm looking at. Okay.
No, we went too far before I stopped it.
Oh well, yeah. I say separate from what Robert was saying, I just wanted to talk about that was a.
Let me get there. Let me get back to the picture.
Find me.
There we go. Stop. Okay.
Yeah, the gesture and the action in this is perfect. That bird in mid-step, looks like like I say, eye contact, marching right toward you, and the fact that it was shot all the way down at ground level, eye level with the bird was great. That's what makes this. That's what gives it the impact. That's what's really good about this, is that the artist got all the way down to eye level with that bird, and that's what gave it the impact to really see the what's going on with the feet, the step, where it looks like that bird's going to march right into your face.
Yeah. Yeah, you in Lightroom, you could select for the subject and mask him out, and then and then invert it, and you could darken up that background pretty easily. And then and then select him again, and then just darken up the white, tone the whites down a little bit just on the bird. So yeah, this would be really easy to fix in Lightroom. And I don't think Barry uses Lightroom, but same sort of thing in Photoshop. This is Barry's image, by the way. Okay. Anybody else? Okey-dokey.
Notice that the sun is coming from overhead because of the shadow underneath.
Go
So I
for it. Oh, come on.
Sun was actually very
Give it
low
a-
in this image, low and behind the photographer to the left.
well, not in order to give it something.
All right, trying to get to the right spot here so we don't miss what he said. Okay,
Okay.
we'll have to repeat a little bit of this. Okay, go ahead. Go, go, go.
Okay. Okay. Gosh, why doesn't I feel like I've judged this before? Okay, back at you. Let's see. On this next image, somehow I find the shadow going across the bird is going to be a bit of a problem. The light to dark in this particular image is not consistent enough throughout the bird in order to give it well, not in order to give it something, but it's somewhat of a distraction to have this particular line in this line of light in this photograph, meaning the light going to shadow, and it's very abrupt. So that's my thinking on that, and give it a little bit more space in the environment. Nicely done as far as the focus on the eye, but it's just I find that the contrast in the light being light and then abruptly into the shadows, I find that to be somewhat of a distraction for me. Very beautiful clarity.
He's moving him too quick. Before he was stopping and telling us that he was going, waiting for us to, he's not waiting. Okay, let's do this. Okay, here we go.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, and yeah, agree that it's it's a great sharp capture of the bird in flight, the wings and the feathers in great position. It's tight on the backside, as Robert mentioned, and yeah, that I would dodge it, open up the values under the wings and behind that shadow line, and make it not be so contrasty, as Robert was saying, between the value in front of the shadow line and the value behind the shadow line. I would try and open up the value behind the shadow line under the wings and the rear part of the underneath of the bird. And there's also looks like an artifact from processing it in some way, brushstroke, maybe dodging, burning, something going on. It behind the tail, there's a dark halo that completely surrounds and extends out from the tail of the bird on this, and also to a certain extent under the far wing in the frame.
Yeah, so yeah, this one definitely, this is the hard part about shooting birds in the bright sun. You've got to deal with those shadows. I spend a lot of time when I'm shooting, a lot of the big bird photographers, I've been at Circle B, and when they'll absolutely refuse to shoot anything when it's got this kind of light on it. But there's so much you could do now that you couldn't do 5 years ago with, opening up, like Jim said, opening up these shadows, and you can almost eliminate this line. It'll still be there, but it won't be quite so harsh and rough. Yeah, it does look like, I think he tried to darken the background. I'm not sure, because it's very bright out.
Yeah, there's
bright for
something
what's in the
going
back.
on, and
Yeah.
there's some definite halos around the bird in certain
Yeah.
areas that are artifacts of
opposite
the artifacts of the
halos are
processing
dark.
that was done.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how you guys see that.
Yeah, it's really dark right here and here. If you can look, there's like a little, it's not bad, but it's.
And by the way,
Can
by the way, Lynn, your mouse isn't visible on the video.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
where, thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, but she's talking about behind the tail, completely surrounding the very back of the tail, underneath the feathers of the bird's left wing, and over the shoulder of the front shoulder of the left wing, and in some other areas.
Oh no!
There's
Holy banana brains.
there's dark halos.
Yeah.
I know you asked, how do you see that, Diana? That's I know you've heard the phrase trained eye.
I know, seriously. There's no way my eye's going to get trained to that. Yeah.
Great. Next one. Oh,
Stick to nursing.
next. Oops. Lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Oh. All right.
But it's just I find that the contrast and the light, being light and then
Sorry for the
abruptly into the shadows, I
repetitiveness.
find that to be somewhat of a distraction for me. Very beautiful clarity.
Yes, he went straight to the next image.
Oh man.
This one's called
Why
Dunlin.
is it
and
I
this
feel
is,
as though I've done
Diana
this
Cahill.
this deal here? Oh gosh, I hope I didn't mess up by redoing the critique here.
Well,
Okay.
he hasn't done it before, so
Let's take a look at what's happening here. Now, I love the composition of the birds. I just wish the birds were a little sharper going through here. And when I enlarge it, I don't have that sharpness that I love to see in this. So as far as the contrast, stark contrast between the light and the dark, yes, you've given me an interest there. I could crop off the bottom portion of this, a little bit of the bottom, and still maintain a lot of good composition in this particular image. So back at you guys.
Did it right that time.
Yeah, and Robert, Robert says he's looking for sharpness in the birds. In this particular instance, with the flock of birds flying around, me personally, I don't have the same opinion on that as Robert. There's a slight bit of blur in that, which to me throughout this is implying the motion of the birds. I'm actually okay. This is not a single bird where you're trying to, show me this, the beauty of this one single bird and all the detail, the feathers and everything. And then when, if it's blurry, it's lost. This is a flock of birds that are wheeling and turning and moving around. And I'm personally just fine with a little bit of motion blur, giving more of that implication of all the action of this flock of birds flying around. I do agree with Robert that it doesn't need so much at the bottom. It could be cropped up from the bottom, but I would also like to see a little bit more in front of the front bird. There's so much space behind the flock of birds, and that the leading bird on the right-hand side is very close to the edge of the right-hand side of the frame. I'd like to see a little more breathing room over there, and it could come up, a little bit from the bottom. But it's a beautiful shot. It's striking. I love the shapes and contour of the rocks with the strong side lighting and the contrast of the birds over those rocks. And like I say, I'm quite fine with the implication of motion in the birds.
I almost would like a little bit more blur, I think.
okay. It is cropped down from a larger image, so I can recrop it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I felt like it looked best with the birds concentrated in that section of the photo.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah,
I'll try different crops.
I just, yeah, just that one, the bird that's closest to the right-hand frame is, is really close. Just give that a little more room over there. Otherwise, I like where they're at in the frame. Absolutely.
Yeah, he has to have some room to remember. He has to have some, always remember. I learned a new term this week on with one of the challenges I'm doing on Vero, and it was called rule of space. I'm like, what the heck is the rule of space? And so I looked it up, and it's actually giving things like birds and anything that's moving space in front of it. I mean, I knew about doing that, but I didn't know it had a name. So yeah. So yeah, the rule of space comes into play where you've got to give something that's going to be moving out of the frame more space so that it doesn't like it doesn't look like it's about to smash into the side of the frame, basically. Okay, on to the next one.
Man, I think I'm just going crazy because I think I have judged this before.
Nope.
Somehow, I don't understand why. This is April General. We are in the month of April.
You saw it last week when we scored it.
I think that I've talked about this moon over in the corner here, and this line leading up to that moon, where it's somewhat of an illusion that you are supposed to be looking here, which is very nice in its color contrast, but the real action is over on the right-hand side. So I find that this is one of those images that will hold you back. It's holding me into the page. I'm stumbling over my words because I feel like I've critiqued this before. Okay, having said that, I am going to move on.
He had to look at it to judge it.
Last week.
over a week ago, he scored it, so he had to look at it to score it over a week ago, and now he came back and did the video, and I guess he's having deja vu.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great example of visual tension, where it's almost like there's two images in one. You've got the windows in the rocks over on the left side of the frame, and then then there's a division, even with that shrub in the foreground and everything. And then over on the right, you've got a sweeping, curving, leading line that takes you to the opening with the moon. And this is good visual tension, where you go back and forth, and as Robert said, holds you in the image. This is a great example of well done visual tension in the image, and a great composition, and great colors and tones in the image.
Think that one's mine. And to be honest with you, I didn't even notice the moon there when I took the picture. I got it back and downloaded everything and started looking at all my images, and I'm like, oh my God, I got the moon. In fact, I initially thought it was the sun. And then I know. And
initially when I scored it, the title said sun. It said sunrise at the windows, and I was like, nah, it's not a sunrise. That's a moon set.
Well, we had the sunrise. If I turned around 180 degrees, the sun was coming up on the other side, but there were windows over there too. And when I looked at the image, initially I thought it was the sun, because I knew the moon was over there, but I didn't recall it being that low. And so I'm like, then I started thinking about it, and I actually went back to my images and looked at the timing, and then I realized it was the moon, and I forgot to change it on the list. I changed it on the name on the image, but I forgot to change it on the list. But yeah.
Yeah, I put a note on there, and I saw that you caught my note and fixed it.
Yeah. I'd already changed it on the image, and I forgot to change it on the score sheet. Because I'm like, it started when I looked at it, I'm like, wait a minute, can't be the sun.
When I look at these photos, I realize how unobservant I am, because until somebody pointed it out last week when he first showed this, that there was a moon there, and I'm like, what moon? I'm like, oh my God, Diana, you are so bad.
Well, like I said, I was so intent on the composition that I didn't even notice that the moon was there. I actually have a picture of the moon that's that I took much closer between those two, the two rocks on the right hand side, and it was like up about halfway up there, and I have that image, which I had to do a composite because the moon was blown out, and if I was going to get the rock, because it was dark out when we were there to start off with, and so I just didn't even, like I said, I didn't even see the moon when I took the shot until I got it back and looked at it on the computer bigger, because
Where
on
is
the
this,
back of the
Lynn?
camera it was like tiny.
Where was this, Lynn?
This was at the Windows in Arches National Park.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Very pretty.
Next. This one is Rod's image.
I am going to stop this recording because I believe that I have said something about this already. And let's see.
Major
I
deja
have
vu.
said something about this.
I think Robert needs a therapist.
And the light of this particular image,
Wait a minute.
I mentioned that
salmon.
this was a very good process to start with. However, the light that's over here, I wish it was not so much there. In fact, I can do without this light, the fullness of this light.
All right, let's back up a little bit. For some reason, he's not figuring out. I don't know why he's.
He thinks he already critiqued these things.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
forgot that he judged him already.
Do you want to switch over back to Lightroom and do the rest of the
I know
critique in Lightroom?
Yeah. I know he mentally critiqued them to give him a score, and that's
Yeah.
probably what he's remembering is, but he forgets that
Yeah,
he
let's-
doesn't realize he actually critiqued them for the club.
Let's see. Can you see my Lightroom behind here?
No.
Or
No?
So it's just showing you the video. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
just going to try to see because I'd have to go back and forth, and I'm afraid to do that. It might mess things up. Let me try to scoot along here just a little bit, see if we can get to that image.
Said
Yeah,
something.
Lynn, if you share your desktop instead of your Chrome tab, you should be able to tab in between
It's
them.
not my
if you
Chrome
wanted to.
tab. This is my, I am on my desktop.
Ah.
Yeah, so, okay, let's do this. I'm going to stop sharing this. We'll just have to take the chance.
You don't need to, Lynn. She told you what to do. Just do it. Are you on Windows?
No, I'm on Mac.
Oh, okay. Well, if you just bring up Lightroom, if you're on the same screen, we should be able to see it.
Well, I've just moved it out of the way, and Lightroom's right behind it. You can't see it.
Yeah.
if
Actually,
you
no, Brian,
uns-
because she's using an advanced feature in Zoom that directly streams a video, and
yeah.
she's actually using a video streaming protocol. It's not a screen share.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Well, if you just go back to the previous image and let the tape run there's enough time for you to stop it. There you
Okay,
go.
right there. Okay, that was the next image after mine. So
Mhm.
this is a water lily, and it's by this one's Rod's.
Yeah, and I remember this from what it actually looked like. It's lost a lot in the video.
Mhm.
Going with Robert recording it to video, and then it going out and back and out over here. There's a lot that's lost. That and what got lost is what makes it look better. Because in the original, there's all kinds of random scattered reflections and blotches and things in the dark water that distract your eye from what we're actually seeing now on the video, which was going to be my my original critique was, burn that stuff down in the water. That's all the visual distractions, and let us see this that's going on here. But by virtue of the fact that we're looking at something like 3 generations at least away from the original, it's gotten darker, and all the things I was going to say that are distracting have vanished and aren't a distraction anymore.
Yeah.
Instant fix.
Yep. Sometimes things just work out. Okay, let's go a little bit forward for the next one. maybe not. There we go. Okay, there's the next one. This one's Jan's. This one's called Leaves and Stained Glass. Oh, you can see that up there. I think this
Yeah,
is really pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, this is very nicely done. The backlighting through the leaves, the three leaves, and the way that they've been stacked so that the light being behind them, the one closest to the light is the brightest, and then the one in the middle is the middle value tones. The one that's closest has the least light coming through it is darker. You've got that gradation from viewer's point of view, from going darker, lighter, lightest across the frame, left to right, and all the abstract patterns and veins in the leaf, as mentioned, like stained glass. What's going on in this compositionally, three elements, kind of on rule of thirds, and transitioning in tonal values, darker to light, brings you right across the frame through that. This is very well done.
Yeah, guys, always be on the lookout for backlit stuff, because this is the kind of stuff you can get, and it's so easy to do. I mean, this is a great composition. And this is what I do when it's noon and I'm out walking around like in the woods. I'm looking for backlit stuff like this, because that's what you want to shoot up close, where there's no light affecting anything other than your subject from behind.
Yeah, go collect some leaves like this and lay them on top of a light box, or on top of even on top of an LED light with some diffusion material on it.
Yep. Yeah, you can do. Yep, you could. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can do even. Yeah, like you said, you're in your house with a light box or some other way of backlighting it. All right, on to the next one.
And the light of this particular image, I mentioned that this was a very good process to start with. However, the light that's over here, I wish it was not so much there. In fact, I can do without this light, the fullness of this light.
Oh, I didn't catch. So how to make this sun, make this one little bit dark?
Going along with what Robert's saying with the visual size of the orb of light, there's several different tools that can be used in like Lightroom's exposure panel to basically shrink the size of that orb of light. Dehaze being one of the primary things that would do that. And unfortunately, I see on this one, I do remember in the original is much more vibrant from what I'm seeing in the video reproduction of this. It's gotten kind of muddy looking in the reproduction of the video versus what I remember of the original. But it's the composition is nice. I agree with Robert to a certain extent about reducing the size of the orb of the light, there, but definitely, you don't want to make it all disappear. Keep the sun there and some orb of light around it in the sky. The silhouette is great. There's a lot of black silhouette sand dune in the bottom. It could crop up. It could crop up about about a third, between a third and 50% of the way up through that sand dune, and then the silhouette of the camels and the people would really jump out at you. It's very heavy on the bottom. You don't need all that silhouette dark sand dune filling up basically 30% of the frame.
And Fong, this thing is covered with dust spots. There's so many dust spots on that sky.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
because I remember
so dirty.
the original. This I remember that. You can't see that now in the video. This is again where the video reproduction has cleaned up some flaws in the image for us. But yes, I remember in the original, it looked like somebody sprinkled salt and pepper all over this image.
There's probably 1,000 Because I can see them on my side here on my end. Yeah,
Mhm.
even even with this reproduced, I could see them, and they are everywhere. So I
Don't
mean,
change lenses in the desert.
yeah, do not change lens. Even
Okay.
you can even get sand in it if you don't change the lens. I mean, change the lenses, but because it can get through the joints in the camera. But yeah, there is so many spots on here that I don't even know if you could get rid of all of them, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Good process to start with. However, the light that's over here, the shadows on here are absolutely gorgeous. For what you've done here, the reds against the blue. Great job.
We started off so well, giving us a break in between each one. Then he stopped doing that.
He's gotten a little derailed.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I could tell he's having a rough day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. This one,
Yeah.
you can see the spots on this one a little easier, I think.
The same situation, same desert, same shoot, same spots on the sensor. That's true. It is, the video reproduction again on here is darker and muddier than the original, but the composition on this one is nice. Again, this one could use a little bit cut off the foreground. It doesn't need as much cut off as the other one, but a little bit cut off on the foreground would be nice on this. And the only other thing I do beyond that is on the far right, there's in the sand right above the shadow line, there's some distortions in the sand. There's plenty of rule of space, as Lynn called it, in front of everything here. You could crop in just past that and you'd still have enough rule of space. That's our new phrase for the day for this to work.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, it doesn't need all that on the.
Yeah, you could bring it in a little bit from the right past those distortions in the sand, and where you see up above where the dunes are, there's one little bright dune starting to grow out of the frame. If you just brought it in past that little triangle of that bright dune coming out of the frame and those distortions in the sand, and bring the bottom up a little bit. But otherwise, very well done. This is a classic, classic shot, and you did the classic shot well.
On here are absolutely gorgeous. For what you've done here, the reds again blown out, whereas the bottom section is starting to work for me. I have some harshness on the left and right side that needs to come down. But I find my biggest problem is with the sky on the upper left-hand side being blown out.
How would you fix that?
You
Some
bracket. You do HDR.
Oh, yeah, we talked about
but
that
I
one.
find-
Yeah, bracketing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Bracket anywhere from 3 to 5 shots, and and either composite or do HDR. You could fix that sky. That's exactly what I was saying when I saw this. I was like, oh, I wonder if there's bracketed shots that can fix the sky, and this is not an issue I have with it. This is just a question about the artistic sensibility. I'm just curious, is whoever shot this here tonight?
It's Kelly's. I don't think I saw him tonight.
Oh, okay. Because we've all seen 1,000 photos of this. We've all seen this. We've all seen the shot, and in all the other shots, the river is green, and you can see swirls and detail and whatnot in the water. And in this one, the water is virtually black.
Yeah.
And that was my question about just artistically, that makes it very different than the 1,000 other times I've seen this shot. And I was just curious from the artist. Okay, what was the artistic decision behind that? It's just a point of curiosity. It's not a complaint, because that's what struck me immediately was the water looks ink black, and not like the water has ever looked in any of the other shots I've ever seen of this scene.
It looks very low to me. The water looks like it's very low. I don't think I've seen it. That's what the first thing I thought when I saw it is it just looks like the water is, there's a lot less water there than there usually is in most pictures I've seen. I mean, in which, makes sense out there in that area because they're, in a major drought. So,
Right.
yeah, because I think around that thing in the center, up where the, where there's water, where it's sort of green, by the, that like, it's like almost like a ledge there that's sort of greenish.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's normally
covered.
underwater. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
usually
that's the
covered.
normal water line. You're right
Yeah.
about that, Lynn.
Yeah. And the other thing is you can actually see there's lighter colors in that dark black, in the black water. I mean, it was kind of either it was subjectively done or.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my question because like I say, I know we've all seen this many times, but the water is always a very emerald green color in all the other images that you see published of this.
I think if he had done an HDR, it probably would have been a little brighter because I think because the contrast was so there was just so much contrast going on here, period, that it'd be kind of hard to get the water to be brighter in that situation.
I've never seen this before. Where is this taken?
This is
Horseshoe Bend
in Utah.
Utah? Oh yeah.
So Horseshoe Bend is the place. It's not inside another national park.
It's in the national park.
Dead Horse. Is it Dead Horse?
I don't know.
I can't remember the park that it's in, but it's in Utah. I just can't think of the name of it. I think it's a Dead Horse State Park, but I'm not sure 100%. Just look up Horseshoe Bend.
I'm doing it,
and you'll see it.
Google Horseshoe Bend, Brian, and you'll see 10,000
billion
versions of this same exact shot come up.
Antelope Canyon.
Okay.
My biggest problem is with the sky on the upper left-hand side.
Wow.
Critiqued this before.
He's doing it again.
So, the action of the
well, then stop, Lynn,
dog's response to the owner and that idea
Okay.
that I'm going to give you something, but not really. It's like, really, please. So my only difference is that I think my only criticism of this is I think it's a little tight on both sides. I need a little bit of breathing room. So you shot this in a vertical and plopped it in so much that I feel like these 2 points right here don't have any room to breathe, anywhere to go. I'm already cut off at the bottom, and I got a lot of room at the top. So compositionally, I find this to be a little tight.
This one is Susan's.
Yeah, a little more room on the right in front of the paw, and that I can't stop looking at the amputated toes. I know you can't do this, Lynn, but if Everett just wants to hold your hand up to the screen and put your hand right through halfway between her ankles and her knees and cover it up with your hand and look at that, that's exactly what, since the toe is gone, I would just crop this right halfway between the knee and the ankles and just get rid of the feet altogether. But the what's going on, the interaction between the subject and the dog, that's fantastic. It's a visual distraction, to see that, that chopped off toe like that. So just take the legs right off between the knees and the ankles, and then all you're looking at is the interaction that's going on in the middle of the frame. You don't follow her legs. Her legs are almost like a leading line out of the frame, and then they take you down to that amputated toe situation.
Brian, the name of the park is Glen Canyon National Recreational Area.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
As far as this photograph, excellent story. Love it, love it, love the story on this with the cross of the beaks as well as the beak at the bottom. The color contrast, the rich tones they're working.
This one's Lee Wins.
Yeah, that's great. And I remember the original, and the original's so much more vibrant than what I'm seeing, on the couple generations down in the video reproduction here. But yeah, the composition, you know, the shape, even overall, if you almost kind of like cross your eyes and don't focus your eyes on it, the overall shape that suddenly appears, those two birds meld together and virtually turn into, you know, the artistic rendition of angel wings.
Yeah.
If you look at it, which is great.
A question,
Yeah, go ahead.
would this qualify as a bird portrait, or is it not on the stick enough?
This is more of a bird family portrait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't do it. Not on stick enough?
Yeah, well, when you think of a bird portrait, Brian, you usually think of a bird. We call it bird on a stick because the
Oh.
bird is standing still and he's not doing anything.
Okay.
So these actually are doing a little more, unless it was the family portrait where they're all laughing, you know, or talking all at once.
So one of the actions, so a bird with a foot elevated would not be a portrait?
Well, no, he's standing still, so yeah, it would be a portrait. I mean, I would think, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that
As long
would
as
be
he's
my
not,
thing.
the whole point
mean-
of the portrait is they're not actually doing anything. They're just
Yeah,
there.
that's as Lynn says, so that you know, bird portrait, it's not going to be like the bird flying, the bird landing on the nest, you know, the bird catching a fish, you know,
Right.
the bird action shots are not going to be, you know, counted as being a bird portrait.
So a bird taking a step, no.
No, I mean, think
Yeah,
about
sometimes birds just stand with a leg raised.
Yeah.
That's a different story. But if it's like the bird we saw earlier where the bird is actually in mid stride, no, that would
Okay, well, I'm sure glad we clarified that.
Yes.
Well,
That
I
would have
mean,
shot you all.
think about a portrait that you would make of your somebody in your family. You're not going to make, it's not a portrait if they're walking across the room. It's a
Okay.
portrait if they're standing still or if they're
Okay.
sitting
I
down.
got plenty of those.
Yeah, this is the bird on the stick, you know.
Literally.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Thank you for
Back at you
clarifying.
guys.
Yeah. Oops.
And I know, I just know that
Dog
I
in the woods.
talked about this dog being cut off. Yep, I know that I have, because I said that the image on the right is a little too tight. As far as what I have on the left-hand side, which is nice and open, but on the right-hand side, I'm stopped by this tree.
Did you freeze that, Lynn?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's just a sliver of the tree that we know the dog is standing out from the tree. You know, it would work much better if it were just more of that tree trunk that, you know, that we know is coming out from behind instead of just that sliver of the tree trunk over there. Other than that, I'd crop it down a little bit from the top. And the other thing I do, there's from the dog's face, if you go on a clock down to about the 7 o'clock position, there's a really bright patch there that just competes with the dog's face. It's an out of focus highlight area in the background that can just go away. That out of focus bright patch there visually, you know, competes with the dog's expression and face. I would definitely make that go away.
To me, those out of focus leaves are a big distraction.
You're talking about the ones by his face?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
know, I thought he's peeking out from the,
Yeah.
to me, I get the impression that, you know, he's peeking out from behind this tree. So it didn't really bother me. I see what you're saying about the bright spot now that you brought it up, but.
Yeah. yeah, she's trying to do that peeking kind of around the corner kind of thing, which I think that's the only, you know, reason why. If he was like standing straight, looking over to the left or his right, you know, or looking more off to the, you know, obliquely and not straight at the camera, then it would definitely, the leaves would be in the wrong spot. But because he's kind of looking around, you know, his body is turned and his head is turned towards looking at her through the leaves, then then the leaves are not I don't think as much of a problem in terms of the composition. So
Mhm.
it kind of tells you the story that he's peeking around the trees. You know? All right, next one.
This mosaic is very, 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 very interesting. I find that if I could just take a little bit off the right-hand side with this mosaic, I would be a little happier with what's happening more in the center area than what's happening on the outer edge. So a little bit of cropping on the outer edge, both sides, to bring more of the interest toward the center here.
Mhm.
This is Jack's.
Yeah, and like I say, I agree with Robert about what's on the right side, because the pattern on the right side is so fine and detailed compared to the big jagged broken up pattern through the rest of the image, that he's leaving a little bit of it as a framing element, as there is also a framing element over on the left side. Just so we're more balanced, that would be okay. I agree with cutting it in from the right, leaving a little bit of that pattern, but not much, because there on the other side, it's a very small amount on the other side. I try and bring some balance to that, but other than that, it's great. And I really like that in that one position, your eye sees all that pattern, but your eye jumps to the one single clearly defined person within this, and and that's the focal point right there, is that person right in that one diamond shaped cut, which that's great. It would just be a jumble of randomness if it weren't for that. So that was really good, giving us that focal point to find within this abstract pattern.
Oh, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you. I concur.
This what location in downtown?
This is at the museum.
Museum.
The museum.
Huh?
Museum.
Museum of Art.
Yeah.
No, Children's
Museum.
Museum.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on the side of the Children's Museum.
Children's
Yeah.
Museum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Children's
right
Museum.
next to Curtis
Right.
Hickson Park.
Curtis Hickson Park. Yeah.
thank you.
I was wondering a little bit about the halo around here, the dark halo around this shot. I find this shot to be very, very compelling. I don't think I need as much on the right-hand side. However, that's a personal choice of the artist. In this case, I can live with it. And if I do live with it, let me cut it off somewhere right about here, instead of over here in this edge right here, or maybe in this section right here, cut it off. So I'm starting to get out of the realm of interest once I get in this section over in here.
Yep.
This one's,
Yeah,
this one's Lee.
I'm fine with what's going on the right side. I think it's an appropriate amount of lead in to what's going on. Another good example where rule of thirds works, and the colors and the textures in this are really what makes this pop at a glance. At a glance, you have to look twice to see, is this a photograph or is this a painting? It very much looks like a painting in a very good way. But there is, I say, similar to what we saw in that other bird, there's some halos that are artifacts of the processing that are obvious in some areas there.
That's Lee. This is Lee's.
Mm-hmm.
Lee, any comments, Lee? No? All right.
I love
Moving
the
on.
wood. I love the color of the wood.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I didn't see the halos. They're around the bird in the back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
dark, the dark halos.
Dark halos, not
Yeah.
light halos. It's
Yeah,
dark
Dark
halos.
halos, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
That one little bubble there is really, really working for me. And the reflection is working as well.
This one is Nona's.
Yep. That one's well done. The composition, the framing, the colors, the sharpness, everything about it is just fine. And like I say, the capture of the little droplet of water on the beak, the timing, it's for what it is, you're not going to do much better than that.
Yeah. So this is a really pretty good shot of an
Mhm.
avocet.
Okay, guys. On this image, I know that this portion right here is the odd person out and odd thing out. And I find that this image could be a bit more compelling had we cropped it along this section here, where we only need parts of the halfway part of this image down to this corner down here, because I find that to be much more compelling than the rest of the image. So that's my.
I agree with him 100% on that one. It just would need a little more space on that right-hand side to do that. I
Yes,
think.
on the right hand side, because that one petal, which is the one thing, the whole flow of the image drives you to that, but then it's too close to the edge of the frame. This is one where I really wish you could bring up your original on there, Lynn, because there is one other issue with this, which is this is a 15-second long exposure, and during the 15 seconds, either the camera moved or the flowers moved, breeze, wind, I don't know what, but there's motion blur, and it's out of focus due to motion blur. Something moved during 15 seconds. And on the video reproduction, that doesn't come through as much, but on the original, it's kind of strikingly obvious that it's not sharp and there's motion blur in the image.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Karen's, and I don't think she's here tonight.
Mm-hmm. But I see it's a 15-second long exposure, and something moved somewhere along the line during the 15 seconds.
Yeah. And remember, guys, when you're shooting flowers, always look for the characters. The perfect ones, you might want to get a couple shots of the perfect ones, but then start looking for the characters. And this character, was worthy of a whole shot by itself.
Oh yeah, like I say, what the composition is, and the lighting and everything about this, like I say, other than the fact that it's got motion blur and it's too close on the right hand side, other than that, this was a beautiful image.
What possible reason would the photographer have for making it such a long exposure?
Because obviously, I'm thinking they wanted to be at f/22 to get maximize their depth of field, and at ISO 100 to minimize grain. That's going to drive you up to 15 seconds at ISO 100 and f/22 in that lighting. But unfortunately, at 15 seconds, something moved in that time frame.
The tulips were growing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your thoughts.
This one is
I really, really, really want to
Sylvia's.
Take some values up or down, meaning my background values are fine, but my pink values in the foreground, I'd like to at least take those down so that the total value is not the same between my butterfly and the flower or plant that is on. I find that these two tonally, not color, tonally, they are running too similar. So one is going to need to go down in value. And I think here, as well as I think parts of the background can get a little bit darker. Mm-hmm. Just a thought.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
I agree with that as well. Tone down the darken the pink flower, darken the background a little bit, leave the butterfly at the value that's at, and also the central cone of the flower, which is identical in brightness and color to the butterfly. I would burn that down too if I'm burning down the flower, and that would create a little more visual separation of that wing of the butterfly from that, and the butterfly would stand out even more. It's a very nice capture, very sharp focus on the where it needs to be in this image. very nice out of focus background going on there. Looks like it's probably processed processed to be that way, but but well done in the processing to make that happen. Like you say, just a matter of those the light and dark values dodging and burning appropriately.
You see what we're saying, Sylvia?
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. That area with the coneflower, the gold and the gold on the butterfly, I did try to do it because I recognize that, but I can do it more. I'll work on it some more. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my guy here. I'm not sure about this. Now, here's what I mean by I'm not sure about this. You are separating black on black, but the way you're doing it, it's that I have this highlights here. And if you're going to do a highlight to separate black and black, use light to do it and not exposure. And what I mean by not exposure is that you're bringing up the values in the dark area. And by bringing up the values in the dark area, I'm going to get this little bit of brightness where maybe it's dodged or burn. If it is or isn't, I don't quite know. But I do know that in this area right here, it does not separate. And so, which tells me that this image is very much underexposed. So that's what I'm seeing here. You have the separation in this area right here. And it does separate on that side over there, but we start to lose it right about here in this section. So we don't have enough light in that area to make this work. And as always, we're a little tight on this image. I'm not sure why you cropped it in this manner. And I know I'm bringing it in and out, but there are a little bit of separation pieces in here that are not doing it. They're not separating for me. Okay.
This one's Jim Hagen's.
Yeah, it's simply a matter of of just bringing up the shadow values in the character himself and around the top of his head. There is a backlight. There is a little bit of backlighting behind his head, and there's side lighting to create the rim light separation. It's just the processing or the exposure itself is, the background is fine as it is, but bring up the shadows, especially in the upper portion of the character where Robert was pointing out around the hood and everything up there, just to create a little bit more separation in that area right there. It's simply a matter of, like I say, dodging those areas to create some more separation, because it puts that at equal value to the background in those areas.
Let's go to the next one. All right. Now, I know you used a flash on this, and the flash is kind of an on-camera flash, and that's typical of an on-camera flash. The shadows being very close to your subject. In this shot, very flat. And I want to take care of that flatness.
He's drinking, guys.
So
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is that lots of values have to go down and up, but that it starts with bouncing the flash instead of doing a direct flash. And the way this is done is it just makes it, with the on-camera flash, the way it's done, just makes everything all lit up. And in that instance, it becomes very flat. So this is lit, the mister is lit, everything is lit. And a little bit of softness on your subjects here, and a little soft. And that is going to be somewhat of a small problem. Let me see if I don't have any numbers on that. All right, but that's what I'm getting as far as this
was Valerie's.
Yeah, like Robert says, it's on camera flash, which gives it gives it that old fashioned snapshot look. And but what's kind of interesting about it, normally with that going on, things, and like Robert says, there's no values there to see any camera settings, but normally you see a shot like that is much sharper. Things look a little soft, especially as you pointed out the subjects themselves, which I don't know if that's a focus, the focus of the camera, or whether processing was done, some smoothing, some softening going on, some skin smoothing techniques, post processing, what's going on there. But it doesn't, things don't come together the way you expect to see an image like this come together. I know that's probably not making much sense, but
Yeah, the saying is, get the damn flash off the camera. And that's one of those salmonisms that I learned a million years ago. Get the damn flash off the camera, and that makes a whole lot of difference. If you had the flash over to the side just a little bit, even if you held it out, or if you had somebody hold it for you, you get a much better picture than this.
Like a side light, Lynn?
Yep, side light. It doesn't even have to be very far off. I mean, just
and I'm
arm's length.
I'm looking at this and wondering, it almost has the look of like possibly an iPhone photo with the LED flash going off, and the way the people's skin looks, the way the people's skin looks like the built-in AI processing in all the latest versions of the iPhones. Everybody's skin gets that waxy look in all the photos from the new iPhones.
Is Valerie here? I don't think she is.
Can I ask a question on where the frame of the window is? Because I was the third judge that night, and
you're talking about about it cutting right through her head and where his head is positioned.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I realized, okay, that's where they got set at the bride and groom's table, but and with them sitting there, you're not going to do much about it. But it certainly is awkward visually. You're absolutely right about that, Diana.
What about if he had moved? I mean, I'm just working with what they had and trying to get the balance and trying to salvage that part of it.
As Lynn quoted Rick Salmon, get the damn flash off the camera.
Right.
And if you're using an iPhone, you're out of luck there.
But what about moving his head to the right?
No, move to the left.
No, right.
His left. Camera right.
Camera right. No.
Camera right, subject left. Mm-hmm.
No, see, I was going to put him on. I mean, if I was going to put him on the equal portion of,
and that again could have been just as awkward, and because then they're holding hands, they're a couple now, they're married now, and then you're going to put a visual barrier between them that separates the bride and the groom. I would say I'm better with this than separating the couple with a line.
Got it. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
For all those that are wedding planners in the group, it would have been a great idea if they'd have set the table up against a wall instead of that windowed background.
Yeah.
They did the same thing. I mean, the photographer that did my son's wedding, who I hope he didn't pay a lot of money to because I didn't print one of his shots, was just an idiot. I swear not one shot would have scored well in our thing. He had trees growing, and this is in Tahoe. We paid a lot of money for this wedding to be in a very scenic place. And this guy he was such a moron. He had trees growing out of their heads. I mean, he had, oh God, don't even get me started. And we've got a bunch of these.
It's too late.
In case you wanted to know how I felt about the wedding photographer.
And back at you. So now we can go to the next one.
Well, last one, guys. Last one.
Oh, good.
The hockey game is
Beautiful, beautiful smile on our subject here on the board. It's working all the way around. I wish you could have held the texture in the snow behind your subject. That would be a complete control, beautiful completion to this particular photograph. Because we have no data back there, none whatsoever in our background, it's somewhat of a small distraction. It would be just, man, if you could have just held the highlights, meaning guys expose for the highlights and develop for the shadows. It's an old thing that used to do in film: expose for the highlights, develop for the shadows. And that's just smile is just perfect. The action is just perfect. So that's what we have.
Yeah, the expression and the action there is fantastic. It does override the the technical flaw of the what's going on in the background. But as Robert said, had the background been exposed properly, you still could have pulled those shadows up and had the same shot with detail, and all the potential was there to it's fantastic, but there was potential to even push it up even a couple more notches above this. But it's great, it's very engaging, perfect moment of action. That's really nice. The joy of that child on that sled just immediately comes through in this image.
Yep, perfect. Okay, that's all the images.
I have a question.
Yep.
We saw several photos where the cameras had either 30 or 40 megapixels or 45 or 60 megapixels capability, but the image had been cropped so much that it was down to 10 megapixels or less, and they all had zoom. Almost all of them had zoom lenses. I'm wondering, why were they shooting at the wide end and then cropping so much? Why not zoom in and fill the frame and get the use of the camera you paid for?
Can't argue with that, Chris.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on.
Can't argue with that.
Depends on where you are. Some of those, even zoomed in, you may not have very much of the frame taken up. I do that a lot with birds. I zoom in at 500 millimeters. I still have a tiny little bird in my picture. So.
But birds, I understand that's different.
Yeah.
But when I was looking at Horseshoe Bend, for instance, I saw it was taken, I think, at 28 millimeters, and they had a 24 to 200 lens.
Yeah.
And there were literally 30 megapixels that were thrown away.
Well, that's what that's why we're going to talk about telephoto landscapes next month for that very reason. Yeah. Zoom in. Okay. Yeah, zoom in, get in there and get a picture of what you really need to take a picture of. Okay, Jim, I have a couple of things I wanted to share with them. It's already almost 9 o'clock. What do you want to do? Do you want to?
Go right ahead. You got something prepared.
Yeah, I actually have a video. I didn't do a video, but I pulled a video off of. We were kind of mentioning the remove tool that's in the Photoshop beta. That's actually a public beta right now, and it's actually kind of cool. It should probably be in Photoshop soon. I think they're working on some tweaks because they've already done an update to the beta, which is kind of weird. But I have a video. Let's just do that, and and then we'll because it's about a 9-minute. But if this guy is what he did with it was I could not have recreated what he did, and he actually he compared it to a couple to the healing brush and the content aware fill. So I think it's a good way to take a look at it. So let me go ahead and share that, and we'll just watch that one video, and then we'll call it a night.
Then can you post that video on our website for those that aren't here?
No, I can give you the link.
You can put a link to it.
Yeah, I give you the link to it because it's somebody else's video.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
Or if you could email it to us.
Yeah, you can link it or embed it.
But she could drop it in the chat. She could drop it in the chat right now.
Now, not right now. We don't have time.
Okay.
This meeting's being recorded. You can just rewatch the.
Yeah, you can just rewatch this recording.
Oh.
Jim, since this is on the internet, I don't have this downloaded file. Can I still play it on the Zoom?
No, you'll have to do it through a screen share.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to screen share and just play it on your own browser.
Okay. Oh, I have to take it off basic. I have to do this. And we don't need that anymore. Let's see. Can you see the screen?
Oh yeah, it's unmesh.
There we go. It's a mess. Ladies, you can thank me later. All right.
This new magical removal tool is absolutely insane to see.
Can you hear it?
You've already used this.
More volume.
A little.
And to remove anything with the spot healing brush tool, you know what to do. Let us say we want to remove this table. We simply paint over. You want to make sure everything is properly covered, and this is the result.
Wow, so cool.
There's a lot of breakpoints, a lot of artifacts here. So that's the result with the spot healing brush tool. Let's save that as a snapshot. So we just opened up history and we click on this button to create a snapshot. This is the spot healing. Wait for it. One of the more recently introduced tools that we use time and again is the content aware fill. Let's try that as well. Let's use the polygonal lasso tool and make a selection around the table. And now let's go to edit, content aware fill. Let's keep it at defaults for now and hit OK. So that is the result we get. Control or Command D, by the way, to deselect. That's the result for the content aware fill. Let's save it as a history state as well. Let's go to history, click on this button, content aware fill. Now it is time for us to test the new tool. Sorry for the wait. First of all, let's get back to how it was by clicking on the first one in history. This is our original image. You will find this new tool, the remove tool, inside of the healing group. So click and hold, and here is the magical tool. Let us select that. And similarly, all you have to do is just paint. Let's see what it does. There you go. That is just insanely amazing. Now there's a problem right here, very slight problem. However, if you just paint here, even that is fixed. Let's paint one more time. Fixed. This is just on a crazy level. Let us compare. Let's save it as a history state as well. This is the remove tool. So here you have the spot healing, content aware, and the remove tool. This is crazy on very many levels. Now, before you run to test this feature, know this feature is only available in the beta version of Photoshop. Now, you can get the public beta. Here's how to do it. So all you need to do is to open your Creative Cloud application, go to Beta Apps section, and right next to Photoshop Beta, click on the Install button. Once you have installed it, like I have, you will see the Open button. Now, do know that if you're using the Captain Jack Sparrow version of Photoshop, you might not be able to have access to this feature. Let's push it a little bit. Can we remove this watch? Let's try that. Simply paint over it. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it created that line perfectly. And this is just insane. Now, these shadows should not be there. They came in because of the watch. So I'm just going to paint over it. And even that is fixed. Even the repair work after painting, let's say it didn't get an area right, it does it perfectly. And you don't have to even sample from any place. So Meredith Stotzner from Adobe wrote about this feature, a good friend of mine. And she says that fences or edges are seamlessly completed. By the way, I'll link up this article in the description. Let's see how true is that. We'll try to remove this subject and keep the fence intact. Let's also use this opportunity to learn about a few features. The first one is sample all layers. It gives you non-destructive abilities. Let us say you created a new layer, and if this was unchecked, and if you tried to paint, it won't do anything. It cannot do anything as this layer has nothing in it. But if you allow it to sample all the layers by checking this, it will not only sample all the layers, but fill it only in that particular layer, making it absolutely non-destructive. So take a look. This is gone and this is perfectly gone. And the filled area is on a separate layer. The other feature right here is remove after each stroke. When that is turned on, let's say I want to repair this area, I paint over it, and when I let go, it just fixes that. When that is not turned on, it allows you to pick up the brush, continue painting, and then apply it later. For example, I want to fix this, and also I want this area to be painted. Let's say you need a couple brush strokes to do it perfectly and not let it do in every step of the way. Just fully paint it. Once you're fully satisfied with the entire painting area, you click on this tick button, and it will remove all of them together. And it still did a fantastic job. Now, there are a couple of areas that it didn't get right. Don't worry about it. Repairing works fantastic with this tool. I'm going to check that back in. Paint, gone. And you want to fix this? Just paint over it. Fixed. See how perfect that is. Now, this area is looking odd. Paint it. Fixed. Similarly, right here in these areas, and it just works. So let us tell Photoshop to rethink this area. I'm going to paint a little more to give it a little more headroom. it's still not picking it. It's making it seamless. So let's start painting from right here so that it gets an idea. And now we paint again. And now we paint a little more and a little more and a little more right there. And there you go. Even that is taken care of. Something that would have been impossible early on.
What is this guy's
Areas are
name?
done. Let's click on the tick button right here. And
Unmesh Dinda is his name.
And are you going to spell that?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
It continues, and that's the best part. The line doesn't continue here. Paint over there, paint over there. It continues that line. And we're going to paint a little bit right over here as well. See, it straightens up all of these lines like magic. Now let's push it a little more to the extreme. So in this case, here we have our subject, and here we have a net. Now we all know how to remove a net, and that would be very easy to do because the net is so thin. However, let us say we wanted to remove the subject, which is behind the net. Let's see if it does that. And if it does it perfectly, I'm going to stand up right here on my chair and clap. Let's see, moment of truth. Let us apply it. Let's get ready. Well, it deserves a clap while I'm sitting, but it didn't do that perfectly. Still, it's incredible, to say the least, because have a look at the line. There's a slight bump. If we paint over it again, that will be fixed. Let's tick it for now. And let's check this box. Remove after each stroke for small repairs. So let's paint right over here as well. See, even that is fixed. Right here, these lines are weird. So let's paint over it. Let's see if Photoshop can fix that.
Oops, sorry. I have our ad.
Well, this is good. Now, it's not perfect. It creates a super thick line, but look at the technology. Let's paint right over here. Oh, it's good. It's okay. Better than nothing. There is room for improvement, but this is definitely a revolution. Now, let us talk about some drawbacks. Now, before we do, we have to understand that this is in beta. This is for you to test. Adobe is testing it and they have not finalized it. So maybe this will help them, maybe not. Maybe I'm just being stupid. I don't know. Let's see. The first problem I see with this tool is that, let's say I want to remove the painting without affecting the hat right there. Now, of course, I can make a selection by using the quick selection tool and make a selection of the outside. All right. And then I can use this tool right here, the remove tool, paint over the painting. It won't leak because of the selection. But even when we have made the selection, it will do something. Let's press Control Command D after it processes and have a look. It created this extension on the hat. And if you didn't make a selection and tried to carefully shred through, giving it a little bit of space, even then it will mess up. It won't get the hat perfectly right. There you go. You see these around the edge. So for those kind of complicated situations where two objects are attached together, you have to use something like the content aware fill. Because if you're using the content aware fill, it makes it super easy. Let's choose the polygonal lasso tool and make a selection of this painting. As easy as that. And then let's subtract the hat by simply using the quick selection tool. Hold the Alt key or the Option key to subtract, and it's perfectly subtracted. Then we will go to Edit, Content Aware Fill, and we'll tell Photoshop not to sample from the hat areas. So right now I know it looks crazy like an abstract art. Let's subtract this area. We don't want it to sample from here. And there you go. This is a perfect one. Hit OK. Now there are a couple areas we need to fix, but take a look around the edge. This just works. So what do I feel about this? This is an incredibly revolutionary new feature. And this will definitely change Photoshop forever. Couple of things we have to fix. Number one, having the ability to work with it when two objects are attached. Number two, if we can have the same technology for content aware fill, this will change the world. Or in other words, have a way to apply it in the form of a selection so that we don't have to sit and fill through. I hope you enjoy playing with this feature. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you have any ideas for improvements, let us know in the comments as well. Adobe reads that. Thank you so much for watching again. If this video helped you, make sure to get...
I have a question. What if you download that? I haven't been in front of my computer for a while. If you download the beta, what does that do to the regular one that you have?
It's separate.
It's two separate programs.
Separate programs.
They exist as two separate. You have two separate versions of Photoshop in your computer. You launch one or the other.
Yeah.
How do you know how to do that?
Yeah, it's super easy. It's just like having another program. And then once they add the remove tool to the regular Photoshop, then you just uninstall the beta and get rid of it.
I hope he goes, I mean, I hope, yeah, boy, that went fast. Blah, blah, blah.
He's very fast. He zips through his videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll if it's something that's new to you or you want to pay attention to, you got to keep moving backwards and replay it and replay it, because he moves through his videos lightning fast.
Thank you,
It's
though.
not boring.
Did
And
everybody?
thanks for putting his name, Jim.
Yeah, yes, everybody has, Jim put his name and information. His YouTube channel is called Pixel Perfect. And yeah, just go in, look at his channel and subscribe to it, because he does a lot of different stuff. So, and yeah, if you just get used to, I'm used to listening to him because I know he talks really fast, but I'm used to it. So I hear what he says, but yeah, he's got a lot of other stuff as well. So I
live with an Indian guy and he talks fast, even for by Mohan's standards.
So I think unless you guys want to hear some more stuff, it's after 9 o'clock now. We can end it right there. If that's what you.
Lynn, this is just an aside, but isn't there a way to slow down the audio in these tapes when you're watching them?
Yes, there is. You can go.
I thought so.
You go down to the settings and it's playback speed.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you click.
You can slow it down, and it doesn't sound bad at all. I've done it.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Hey, good night, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Jim.